Hello, hello. Thank you so much for tuning into Audio Unicorn. I'm really grateful you are here. So, today I'm going to answer one of the questions that comes up relatively often, and it is, what sort of intro should I start my podcast with? Now, there are many, many schools of thought, but I will obviously share mine, and the answer is simply none. If this is something that's going to stall your progress, start with absolutely no intro whatsoever. That's what I did. My podcast, as it is today, does not have an intro. I am just about to actually add that element into my production, but this is on, multiple episodes behind me. So I was not too worried about launching without a podcast intro. I don't think it's going to be earth-shattering if you do that too. I do think it's important to have one, don't understand me wrong, but I think if you are going to stall the progress, definitely just go ahead without one or with what you have, and then you can always update it later. So what intro should you ideally start with? That's perhaps the question you should be asking yourself. So if you are just about to put a first intro into your podcast project, what is the best practice into making it sound great? So my advice to you would be to keep it as simple as you can. So the more complicated intro, the more chances are you are going to likely be making some changes along the way, and therefore you will end up spending money twice. Don't forget, at the very start of the journey, so here I'm talking specifically about people who are just starting podcast and podcasting in general, many things can actually change. So your direction can change. You will also start to fall into a specific rhythm. This is what's starting to happen to me now that I've recorded. This is going to be video number 14, and it actually, after a while, just takes, you kind of feel like you are falling into the groove, which is great. But that also means you are going to start to have new ideas, or you will refine the existing ideas as well. So if, like me, you like to value progress over perfection, then I suggest start simple. And that simple is simply, I don't know, in my case, it could be something like, welcome to the Audio Unicorn show, or the Audio Unicorn simply. It doesn't have to have anything more. You can mention the host. If you have one host and it's always going to be like that, obviously you can't predict the future entirely, but if at this time, this is going to be just you, then it is worth to mention the name of the host. So again, in my case, it would be, welcome to Audio Unicorn. Here is your host, Isabella Russell. It's very simple. It doesn't have much. You can add, so if you want to build it a little bit further, so those are kind of individual steps, so to speak, you can add a little bit more. So like a sentence or two about the show. So it could be something like, the show for audio creators, or you can, like in my case, obviously. But in your case, it could be something like, in this show we discuss X, Y, and Z, or, we cover the, A, B, and C of specific industry. So you can kind of add a little bit more description into what is the show about. I think it's nice to do that if you can. Just think through specifically what keywords you would like to include there. Think in there what kind of people you would like to target with your podcast. It's not always easy to do it because quite often, we start with one idea, it then develops into something entirely different. But you must have at least some sort of goal in mind as to who you would like to reach with your podcast. So with that in mind, create that 1 or 2 sentence description as to what could, that potential person find in your podcast. So keep it very simple. I would really stress you to avoid very lengthy intros. There are a number of reasons for it, but the most important one is to keep the attention of your viewer 100% focused on the content. By going into more description, you can kind of lose the momentum, so to speak. So it's all about that, catching that momentum and diving right into it. It's just just about kind of keeping things moving at the right pace. Longer intros can kind of lose that a little bit. And most importantly, do not include any kind of call to action in the intro itself. The main point is to make those people watch or listen to your content. So keep it short, keep it sweet. But again, I will kind of stress that this is what I did. If you are going to kind of procrastinate over the right thing to do, just launch without one. As I've mentioned in the past, when I've launched Audio Unicorn, I did it literally on the whim. It was like, okay, I'm going to do it. Okay, why won't I do it right now? So this is how I work. I know many people do too. Some people love to be very prepared and, plan very carefully as to exactly how the launch is going to go. That's fine too. It just doesn't work for everyone. And it didn't work for me specifically. There is no right or wrong in here, I think. I think it's very often easy to just overthink it, and that overthinking can delay things even further. So main thing, don't overthinking. If you have a great idea and want to go with it, just go with it, and don't let little things stop you along the way. So the next question, how much should you expect to pay for a good podcast intro? So depends. The answer is it depends on how long it is, and it depends what kind of things you will include in there. But again, if the budget is tight, and it quite often is at the very start of the journey, you may want to just consider something relatively basic. So as I said, a simple welcome to the show, a couple of sentences, one or couple of sentences about what the show may be about, and then introduce the host. Intro like that, you are probably looking in a region of $50 if you mix it with music only. You can pay a little bit extra and have it enhanced with some vocal and sound effects if you like. It's not always needed, especially in the podcast intro. Quite often the simple is what's actually needed. So around $50 for a relatively simple one with just music, $60 for a little bit more. If you wanted, say, just music, you can do that too. Some people opt to not have any words at all and they just go with a little tune. There are plenty of websites that sell you specific music pieces. One word of caution, just do look out for licensing. I remember some time ago, we did actually review most of the royalty-free music websites, and they have very varying terms. So that's the one thing to watch. If you are buying an intro, make sure that the music that's used in the intro is 100% royalty-free. You don't want to have any restrictions, or further down the line, you don't want to, have anyone say to you, oh, if you had over 10,000 downloads or whatever, then you have to pay us extra for that music. So it's kind of, it's just meh in that case. Also, others restrict you to the use of in just one podcast episode, which doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't work that way. Read the terms very, very carefully. Obviously, at Music Radio Creative, here is what we do. So if you ever need any help on that front, always reach out. I'm always very happy to help. So today, on that note, my Audio Unicorn project is, in fact, a podcast intro I have worked on today. It is relatively simple, and it has music only, so there is no vocal effects, no sound effects. But I was really excited to work on it today, and once again, Mike came to the rescue in some way, but I've learned a lot of really interesting things, and it was just the post-processing of the voice and making it sound, fuller and richer. And what I'm going to do is I would love to do is play to you a voice, so just a little snippet of the voice before the processing that I've applied to it, and then after the processing, and you will hear immediately the difference as to what is possible when you have a well-produced intro. But from my point of view, it was actually eye-opening as to how much is actually possible. I was like, wow, this is brilliant. So this is the pre-treatment audio. Let me just play that.
Welcome to God-Centered Success, the podcast for entrepreneurs who want to
So it does sound relatively flat. To me, it's like, I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with that recording? It just doesn't sound quite right. It's flat. It just lacks the kind of, higher vibration of some sort. It's very sibilant as well. This particular voice is very sibilant. So there was a little bit of that, which Mike pointed out to me. And I was very grateful for that because now I can hear it. I could hear something was wrong. I just couldn't name it. And he was like, this is it. And I was like, aha, that is it. So we've applied some processing to the voice.
Welcome to God-Centered Success, the podcast for...
So once again, before...
Welcome to God-Centered Success.
After.
Welcome to God-Centered Success.
Much fuller and richer and louder. This is exactly what you need. So if you do a DIY of a podcast intro, it is still worth to have it post-produced by somebody who does know what they're doing. I mean, to me, that was like, whoa, this is fantastic. So, at the end, I will play you the full produced version with music. And this is fantastic. I was saying this to Mike today. The whole journey of learning how to do post-production was eye-opening in so many ways. And it's like every single time I sit down and actually start digging in deeper and deeper, I learned something new. And I'm really excited about it. And Mike asked me today, he said, so Isabella, what are you actually excited about? What excites you about it? And I said to him that to me it feels like an art, and I do think I have a hidden artist somewhere inside me, because to me it almost feels like sitting in front of an empty canvas and trying to paint a picture and being 100% in control as to what color you are going to choose, what shade or shadow you are going to make. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. So I'm actually really enjoying it. In all honesty, I didn't actually anticipate that I would enjoy it this much. I've kind of fallen into the whole journey without consideration of, am I going to actually really like it? Every time in the past I used to sit down and try to do some production, I was just a little bit worried is probably an understatement, but not that interested in the final detail. But now that I started to do it myself, oh my, like the world is literally opened in so many different ways. So I'm enjoying it, and I really hope this is going to go in some interesting place. I'm starting to slowly compile the list of different awards I'm going to shoot for. I am not sure yet what kind of production style or piece I'm going to go for, but I'm kind of really excited. So I'm compiling the list, and the whole process is slowly taking shape in my head, which is what I was kind of missing at the very start. But I'm enjoying this, and I once again thank you for your support. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed today's production. As always, all of your comments and feedback are very welcome. Please leave me some comments. I always appreciate those and reply to every single one. So thank you, and we'll speak soon.
Welcome to God-Centered Success, the podcast for entrepreneurs who want to thrive in faith and business. For more resources, visit godcenteredsuccess.com. Here to bring you today's episode, your host, business success coach, Mia Renee.